Okay.
Recording in progress. Oh, okay. Ah, so Vanessa, thank you very much for joining me and agreeing to this interview. Um, you moved to White River 3 years ago from the city of Pretoria, but you live about 45 minutes from the Kruger, a roundabout, which is such a special place to live. And
Okay.
the Kruger or game reserves in general have been a part of your life, though, and you're growing up and into adulthood as well. So, do you remember your first trip to the Kruger?
I don't remember it because I was too young. I was, it was in the 70s, so I was very little. So
Mm.
I don't remember, but I know I've been going since then. My
Wow.
grandparents, Alan and Joan Melville, sponsored the building of a guest house at Letaba Camp.
Wow.
And we obviously stayed there. So my earliest memory would be of the house itself. I do remember the house, and
Mm.
it was just along the border, the boundary fence, and it looked out over a river. And I believe my grandmother planted a big tree. Well, it wasn't a big tree, it was a small tree at the time. I think it might be a fig tree, but if you look at the pictures of the house now, that tree is huge and it's still there.
Wow.
So I do remember that house.
Wow. So you have a lot of heritage there, very personal.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
yes,
That is amazing. Sure. So you've been going for a long time then. That answers question two,
yes,
which is
yes, since the early
amazing.
70s, yes.
Wow, wow,
Mm.
that's amazing. And when you go to the park, do you have anything you always hope to see at all?
Yes, I do. I love to see the cats, any of the cats.
Oh,
Those are my favorite. I do
yeah.
love them. I also love the birds,
Mhm.
especially the raptors and the other more unusual sightings of birds.
Mm.
But I love all the birds.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Mm.
So you've kind of developed your what you like to see. Sort of slowly develops every time you go. You learn about new things.
Yes,
Oh, that's lovely.
yes, yes. My interest in birds has only been in the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
It obviously changes as you grow up, but now, yeah, that's more my interest now.
That's amazing. Sure. Very good. And since you started going when you were little, compared to now, has the park changed at all in any way that you remember?
Yes, it's definitely changed. It's got much busier from a tourist point of view,
Mm.
much busier. The big camps, the larger camps, the more mainstream camps have expanded. They've built new structures. There are conference centers, there are restaurants,
Mm.
including some of them even have spa now, more tourist facilities, and obviously now the onslaught of the open top safari vehicle tours that they have now, which never was a thing. And they are actually, I don't really enjoy them.
No.
There are also now WhatsApp groups where you can put a sighting on the WhatsApp group, and it lets everybody in the park know where, for example, the lions are, and then everyone drives there. So it ends up being a bit of a bun fight. So you don't have those rare sightings where it's just you. Everybody is there. So I tend to not even stop when I see a great crowd of people because there's a lot of pushing and shoving and people in the way. So it's definitely changed a lot. It was much simpler and quieter. Um, Although there are things that are the same, like Orphan Dam. My dad told me how he remembers going there when he was young with his parents, and the sites are all still there. The locations are all still there, and some of the camps are actually very old and haven't been as maintained as well as they could be. So yeah, it's definitely changed, but the old things are still there.
Sure. That's very interesting. Very good. Thank you for that. And so, as you were speaking, it's clear that it's getting some parts are sort of left behind and others are very overly commercial
Mm,
now. So,
yeah,
it's clear that it holds a lot of an entertainment aspect for people. They love the thrill of what you
yes,
can see and experience. But we're
yes,
talking earlier about birds, and you learn something different as you go. It's quite evident that the park holds a lot of educational value as well, like in nature and
Mm,
education.
mm,
So, um,
mm.
uh, what sort of educational value do you think that the park has for adults visiting nowadays?
Well, you can be educated as much as you want to in the park.
Mm,
There is an abundance of literature available at any of the park shops that you go to, or even online. But there are different degrees of maps and self-drive guides, and you
mm,
can learn as much as you want about the park.
mm,
There are map self-drive guides, as I said, full of information about different aspects. The self-drive guides
mm,
even tell you what are the best routes, what you're likely to see on the routes.
mm,
The very user-friendly large map that they have has got pictures of all the birds and all the animals.
mm,
At a glance, you can, if you see something, you can quickly identify on
mm,
your map. So
mm,
basically, there is no shortage of information for any age.
mm.
You can always learn something more about the bush. There's
Wow.
more than enough information there.
Wow, that's brilliant. Very, very good. I like that that's
Mm.
so easily accessible nowadays. That's very good.
Very much so, yes.
Sure, that's amazing. And to skip to the topic of animals and plants that maybe have not been protected as much in SA. We've been having trouble with poaching and climate change, and
Mhm.
also with human intervention and abuse in terms of conservation.
Mm.
Do you know offhand of any park animals or birds or species that are endangered or extinct in the park?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure about extinction.
Mm,
I believe there are endangered animals.
mm,
Um, I know, obviously, as you've mentioned, poaching. Obviously, the rhinos are endangered, and that's been a really awful thing over the last few years. I would imagine elephants also have, they have ivory tusks. So
mm,
those are, now more protected.
mm.
I believe the pangolin is also endangered.
Oh,
Um, yeah, but most of the conservation seems to be very good. They appear to maintain what they have very well. In terms of birds, I think at one point, if I'm not mistaken, the ground hornbill was quite scarce,
wow.
but I believe now that its numbers have increased, and yeah, I think it's not as rare as it was, I believe.
Yeah,
But yeah, definitely the rhinos.
sure. That's amazing. Okay,
Mm,
thank you so much for that. Um, when we talk about the park, there's obviously so much of the park to talk about. It's very expansive, and there's like south and
mm,
east and west and all the different areas. And
mm,
it can be overwhelming for anyone visiting the park first time. So,
mhm.
where in the Kruger would you recommend a first timer to go? Would it be perhaps from the White River side, the south side, or maybe Hoedspruit north side? What would you recommend?
Well, it very much depends where you're coming from.
Mm,
Um, so I think both are nice. The the game and the bush, I believe, is more dense and more prolific in the south side.
mm,
The further north you go, I think it becomes obviously the bush changes, the amount of game changes, and I think it is not as dense. I think the higher up you go,
okay.
um, yeah. Also, the higher up you go, the less people there are. So if you're looking for something quieter, but it does take quite a long time to get from the south to the north. So if you're wanting to visit the northern parts,
Mm,
less people, different bush,
mm,
I would say go through from Hoedspruit. And then a good camp would be to go to Skukuza because it's sorry, Satara, because if it's a first time visitor, it's a large tourist friendly camp with all facilities. It's got shops, it's got petrol, it's got information, restaurants, whatnot. But
mm,
if you're wanting to do a nice um, comprehensive day trip,
mm,
and you are particularly for myself, I would not be able to go in well, I could, but it would be a very long drive to go up to any of the northern camps, up at the top, Hoedspruit. So from me to go to in at the White River side at Numbi Gate or Abeni Gate is not far, and it's possible to get up to Skukuza camp, which is another large camp with all the facilities. So coming from this side, it's if you want to have a good round day trip with quite a bit of game and quite dense bush, then I would come in the southern part of the White River side of the park.
The White
It's
River.
just there are different different experiences.
That's true. Okay, so different sides of the park have different things to offer.
They do,
Sure.
yes.
Okay, okay. And then, you were talking earlier about how shops and I suppose online Kruger sites would sort of have itineraries suggested available that would speak to,
Yes,
yes, the north or the south, depending on what interests you.
yes,
Very helpful.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's amazing. And I remember at the beginning of the interview, you were saying that you've been visiting the park for a very, very long time. Um,
Mhm.
and obviously that has brought back many memories and good times there. So, what are some of your fondest memories of being in the Kruger, if you can remember?
Sure. I can't remember so many when I was young, but um I think obviously when it was still relatively quiet
Mm,
and where you didn't have this huge influx of tourists, which
mm,
are very necessary, I understand, for the upkeep and to bring in the income, which is necessary to maintain the park. I understand that.
mm,
But I think yeah, I enjoy the um, being outside and the braais in the evenings and
wow.
those kind of things, and just being able to. Um, I think more recent memories. I love the bird hides and the bodies of water. So yeah, memory wise, I have more memories of a game reserve next door where I spent more time.
Mm,
And it was not in closed vehicles. You could drive in open vehicles. So most of my memories are of that. It's still bushveld, but we were not restricted to the car. And that would just be being out there in the bush, smelling the bush, hearing the bush, and there's just a feel in the bush. So just being in the bush are my best memories are just being there.
wow, that's beautiful. I love that. Smelling the bush, hearing the bush, being in the bush.
Yes, yes.
That is
Mm,
it's beautiful. It captures the essence and um, also sort of speaks to the next question of why you keep visiting, once you've been, why you keep returning. That feeling of just being there brings back those nostalgic
yes,
memories, but you also get to
yes.
experience new things each time.
Yes, you never know what you're going to see. That's the thing. You can
Mm,
go and see nothing, and you can go and drive in and immediately see a pack of wild dogs on the entry road while you're going in. You see all sorts of special things. You can be lucky and see a kill. You can, which I've been fortunate several times to see that. And
mm,
it's something, yeah, I've seen birds that I've never seen before, just, you know, all of a sudden there is one in the field. So you never know what you're going to see. There's always the
mm,
anticipation of what you're going to see. But
mm,
even if I don't see anything, I love being there. I love to wind down the window and just look out and see the beautiful expanse, the wilderness, the wildness.
mm,
And as I said, the feel, the smells,
mm.
uh, the bird calls. Yeah, it's a happy place, my happy place.
Oh, that's beautiful. Sure.